Things like, like jaundice, jemur tengah matahari, those kind of things. Some actually they bathe in certain air untuk kurangkan kuning.
So is it not
like
correct, Doctor? Sorry, if I may ask, like if baby, we have a jaundice baby, and then we need to bring them out, bawah cahaya mentari, and then they would reduce.
It doesn't really have enough evidence to support that it actually helped because what you need is the blue light.
Hello everyone, welcome back to KoPiJom. I am Amy, your host for today, and we are here with a very special guest, Dr Sharifah Aida, a consultant pediatrician from KPJ Sentosa KL. Doctor, how are you, Doctor?
Alhamdulillah, doing very well.
Doctor, thank you very much for spending your time with us. And of course, our topic today is going to be raising healthy and happy kids, practical tips for parents.
Okay.
So for parents, stay tuned. Maybe you can grab your coffee and then of course, listen to our podcast till the end. Okay, Doctor, let us start with the first question. Maybe can you introduce yourself and a little bit on your background?
Okay, I'm Dr Sharifah Aida Alhabshi. I'm a general pediatrician, and I've been with this current setup in KPJ Sentosa KL. Actually for the last 4 years, been in private practice for this is my 11th year actually, so orang lama lah. So my interest had always been general pediatric. So a lot of people ask why not pursue subspecialty, but I find that we still need generalists, and hence the reason why I like office pediatric. And I like to actually entertain a lot about preventive medicine. I like to share my knowledge about keeping child healthy, keeping them away from hospital if you can. So if you ask my patients, they will say, oh, Dr. Aida cakap banyak. Nasihat.
Agree, Doctor. Because when you talk about patients, right, so now you have a tiny little human beings as patients. So of course, like if we've adult patient, you can just ask them to eat medicine, and they can eat straight away, right?
Yes.
With kids, of course, you can't, like you have to like kejap upah dia orang with something else,
Yes.
pujuk-pujuk sikit.
Yes.
So I think like I would say like the patients are being most of the time being dramatic, but probably you enjoy the chaos with kids.
I would
as
probably
patients.
beg to differ because I did adult medicine for a bit of time, and I think I get more stressed out with adult patients.
Interesting.
Because in government setup, there's high load of patients, and you find that even now we know that there's a lot of more of a lifestyle diseases kan, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and all that, and you need the person to decide to make certain changes. And I find it very frustrating because you'll be repeating the same thing. Hence, I decided I rather see children. They may cry, they may be a nuisance, they may need, but the thing is, my aim, my focus is the child, and as an advocate to the child, and I'm in the same page as the parents. So it's I find it more joyful lah.
Interesting. So now, of course, I'm also one of the parents. Just to deep dive a little bit more. Now we're talking about modern parents. Of course, we are more exposed to the gadgets, technologies, right? And also nowadays, I believe that both parents are working.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, Doctor, what are the challenges that modern parents face when it comes to raising healthy children?
I actually had a thought about this for quite some time, and especially post-COVID, that you see the challenges is even more bigger. Parents look tired all the time, and I actually sometimes I do get parents who come over, bringing their child, but they would say that actually the child okay je, doctor, we just need to see you. The issue right now, I think there's a lot of information. Not to say that information is not good, but to find out what is the real information, the good knowledge that you should supposed to adapt to, the things to understand which one to believe and which one is not. And sometimes there's a lot of fear kind of information out there, so you overthink into a lot of things. So, and does it actually apply to your own family ke tak?
So also when you highlighted about the information, right? True. Probably I'm not sure, like before this we don't have the exposure to gadgets too much, so maybe information too we heard from our parents only or closer family je lah. But now because we have the exposure of the gadgets, right? So of course me as a mother also, I Google a lot.
Yes.
Especially now kita nak highlight to the topics of diet and nutrition. When we search information about kids diet, there are so many conflicting advice. So in your opinion, doctor, what would be some of the principles that parents can follow in terms of diet and nutrition that would be easy for us to follow rather than just following the conflicting advice online?
Kalau if let's say this is a baby lah, about to start feeding soon, like 6 months old kita start feeding, then I would say prep yourself with knowledge prior to them, like today, let's say today is your follow up. And the pediatrician say, okay, your baby is ready for solids and you can start solids now. And then barulah you're looking at how do I cook, what should I cook, what do I do, and you start searching. I would say you get yourself, you read about it, take your time to understand what is the aim of actually introducing the solids. What are the salient important nutrition that the child should have so that they can grow well, and then get yourself get the knowledge, find out from your pediatrician. You can get the nutritionist ke apa ke, look for ni, and then so that you know that at least the child starts right, because feeding children is not just about making sure the food goes to the stomach. It's a whole entire new thing. I mean, you as a mother, you would probably see. I would always say it's about creating good habits. It's about teaching them the behavior at the table. It's about being grateful to the food on the table. It's about communicating with the people at the table. It's not just about the food, because even the food is just like plain porridge for everyone. But if it is, the environment is there, it will taste nice, kan?
Correct.
So usually you have to start right kat situ.
Of course, we are so worried with our kids, right? Especially when they are being a picky eater.
Yes.
So I think there are so many parents that coming to you also, doctor, highlighting about their kids. Oh my God, he just want to eat this, he doesn't want to eat that, or probably he doesn't want to eat enough. So maybe, doctor, can you advise also when we should be concerned about this?
Okay, first and foremost, before we need to be concerned about this, is to start right. Okay, first and foremost, because when you start right, then you'll be able to introduce so many different variety of food, and making sure that it's always balanced at all times from start. But number two is to show to be the role model. If you eat right, your child will eat together with you. So ada satu kisah. So the child comes in picky eater, constipated. So the parents are like, so difficult to eat this, so difficult to eat that. So I asked, do you have fresh veggies
at home?
In your fridge? I don't eat veggie, but I would make for the child, but dia tak nak. So that's the thing, because the child doesn't see you eating veggie. Sometimes when they think that we don't like, you're like, or you pick it out from the tape, from your own plate and all that. So the child sees that. So then I was saying like, okay, you have to be the role model. So you have to eat right, so your child will eat right. Number two, if let's say you'll find that sometimes you manage to do it right, this one memang a bit challenging. You did it right, but the moment they started going to kindy, and then suddenly they started to like, I don't like this, I don't like that. They started to pick out things, and that's a challenge. So it's something that but you have to like continuously do the same thing, continuously giving them the food that you want them to have at home, and then teach them about which one is healthier, which one is what happen if you take too much of unhealthy food, what happened to you and things like that. If you want to become strong, what do you do and things like that. So red flag would be you've done your best, the school punya ni pun okay, the other carers, grandparents yang kesian-kesian bagi susu kat tepi, semua tu you dah manage to make sure everyone in the same page, and you still nampak they still memang tak nak. Then it could be something else that caused them to be picky. So then you probably want to bring in. If you had been bringing your child for regular checkups, so it's good to have a doctor that actually look into their growth. So that's another one that can make you detect early.
Their weight, their height.
Their weight, their height, even their colour. Because selalu orang tak perasan when their child is anemic. Tak cukup darah kan. So current issue right now that we see in the younger children is that our society actually have low iron.
Low iron.
So causing them to become anemic. So tak cukup sel darah merah. And then vitamin D. So when you don't have vitamin D, you're not absorbing your calcium, then your bone won't grow. So these are another part yang I don't know whether it's something new to you, what we call a micronutrient deficiency. So their size can be normal, but their micronutrient is deficient.
So this we can know about this based on the blood test or how?
Yes, tapi tak adalah kita semua orang je, doctor, I just want you to take blood for my child kan. So in that sense, it's actually when you do regular follow up checkups, it's not just about completing the vaccine actually. If you look at klinik kesihatan, their book kan tebal kan, it's all till 5 years old, because they're looking at growth, they're looking at development, whether they are at par with the age and things like that, because that's where you will be able to detect certain things.
What I learned before, like for kids before 2 years, we cannot give them like sugar or salt kind of food. So meaning like if it's rice, you just blend it, broccoli, you just blend it and then give to them, because the moment that they taste the sugar or salt, they won't just go back to plain food again. Since they are seeing the parents or adults are eating processed food or even sugary drinks, of course they also want to taste it, right? And I think probably because parents or maybe another adults, they don't see the short-term impact of kids eating that, but probably like long-term, what are the typical diseases that could happens to the kids that are being exposed for too long on sugary drinks? Or
when you talk
food?
about processed food, when you talk about, let's say, high sugar load kan, high sugar load, ataupun you talk about fast food which is high sodium, high salt content, high fat content, it's all fried, high sugar load. Okay, so the thing is, when you overeat them and you are not active, it will be all turned to fat. You put on weight, and over a period of time, that's why what you're seeing right now, Malaysia is actually number 1 dah ke in Southeast Asia for obesity, childhood obesity pula tu. So that brings them exposed to ischemic heart diseases, exposed to cholesterol issues kan, diabetes and things like that. So that is very worrisome, because nowadays you are hearing the young adults getting MI, getting heart attacks. Okay, you're talking as early as 35, 40 years old are actually getting heart attacks. So it starts from young when they start eating all this food. Memanglah comel.
Memang nak comel masa kecil tu,
Memang
like
comel
a bit
satu.
plumpy, right? But
the other thing is, because we always look at food, we see the 3 main groups. We see carbs, too much of carbs change to sugar, change to fat. Okay, and then you have your protein, and then berapa banyak budak yang fikir kita malas nak kunyah, so protein pun tak banyak kan. Protein is important in building up your muscle, as well as a lot of the cells requires protein juga. And then of course the fruits and veggies lah, your fibers and things like that. That's where you get all your vitamins and your minerals as well. The other thing is majority tak cukup the micronutrients lah, the vitamins and the minerals that is required, and these are very important for brain development.
we're talking a lot about diet and nutrition, because for me as a mother also, I believe that you are what you eat, and of course for the kids, right, giving them the right nutrition with the right habits, also they will grow up better and also following the guideline that we had prepared for them. Now, I also want to highlight about kids development. Modern world where both parents are working, right? Sometimes they don't really have time to really take a look at their kids. And sometimes when they go to the doctor, they see like it's quite late already. Like they just realize they are quite red flags, right? So maybe for our parents out there who are seeing this, listening to this podcast, right? Maybe can you share some of the red flags in child's development that parents shouldn't ignore?
Red flags banyak.
Banyak.
Okay, so the first 5 years for me is very, very important because after 5, they should be able to go to school, socialize, sit down, communicate well. Other than that, of course, you're looking at the growth and things like that. So then during the follow-ups, you're looking at growth. That's when you can actually ask question. Is the growth and development at par with the age? What do you think, doctor? That will pause the doctor to have a look. Kalau dia busy sangat lah. And then would be saying, I think that should be fine. That's number 1. Number 2, trust your own, apa dia panggil? Instinct.
Exactly.
Okay. For me, parental instinct, bukan maternal je, parental instinct is very important. And you have noises around you, not just from family members, but also internet, to tell you a lot of things. But your instinct is telling you something. Take it seriously and ask that question. I feel that my child is probably having a bit of delayed speech. Can you have a look at that? Take that moment because the initial 5 years memang ada appointment sebenarnya. Tapi selalunya orang once they complete the vaccine they don't go anymore. Okay. That if you do send your child to daycare center or kindergarten, if the teacher did bring up something, don't be too defensive.
Agree.
Because you have not spent the time with the child.
They are spending the time.
Don't be defensive. It's because they are highlighting because they care. The other one, last, is never compare one child to another child. You can just have a general view and see child, this looks a bit different than the rest, or a bit delayed than the rest, or something like that. You can have an overview, but never like, dia ni masa this, the sister at this age already talking, doctor, but this boy still hasn't talked. So there's always that range, kan?
Yeah,
so it's still within range, unless there's something else that the doctor can pick up, then they probably need. So it's always good to have early intervention. So of course, red flags you can actually look lah. It's quite standard. They haven't, first word is at 1 year old, say mama or papa. They should walk before the age of 18. They should be able to sing to coin 2 words at 2 years old. Those kind of things is out there. I think you can have a look. Go back to your doctor and ask. Because I, as a person who had been in this side for so long doing general pediatric in private, I had many parents who had gone to a lot of doctors and also dapat opinion from the people, from the family and things like that, and ended up in my clinic to say that, my child had not been talking, not even a single word, and already 3 years old. Okay. And I'll be like, when did you notice this? And they would have noticed it a while ago. It's like, maybe 1 year old said mama, papa, and then after that no more. Okay? And then but that created a bit of question in them, but because perhaps they didn't get to see the right person, or perhaps they're listening to the family members, they decided to wait for it.
Because from 1 year old, it's been few years.
So they will say that, boy usually starts later, you can wait. So
by 3, I haven't heard that, doctor. Actually, they will say okay, boy usually talk a bit later than girl. That is vastly shared.
Yes.
So people trust it.
It's the same as the child have their teeth out first. So you have the teeth first, you'll be talking later. A lot of this thing, but it may not necessarily be. And the moment that you realize, there's something ni, that's why I said, you have to go back to kepada yang ahli lah, to the professional who actually deals with it on day-to-day basis to confirm. If the person said, I think you can still monitor, but do come back for follow-up so that we don't miss out. And do bring them back for follow-up.
Yeah, also you highlighted about the superstitious things. Are there any other things that maybe you can highlight to our listeners here also that, parents should know this?
Usually, a lot of questions asked when they are new parents. Things like, like jaundice, jemur tengah matahari, those kind of things. Some actually, they bathe in certain air untuk kurangkan kuning.
So is it not
like
correct, Doctor? Sorry, if I may ask, like if we have a jaundice baby and then we need to bring them out bawah cahaya matahari and then they would reduce.
It doesn't really have enough evidence to support that it actually help because what you need is the blue light. So you're exposed to nowadays with our ozone layer yang tak seberapa, and baby skin is still very fresh and baru kan. So it may cause harm. So it's not necessary, but understanding the reason of jaundice at that age, and what you need is just to feed your baby, and everything will be excreted out through dia punya poo and pee kan.
So that was my personal experience also that I've learned. With my kid, sebab dia still kecil kan time tu kan, so kita pun young parents and first time having kids. So that time I saw my daughter, she was sleeping a lot, sleep for few hours.
Yeah.
So we thought that she's having a good nap time, but actually because I didn't feed her every hour, so that's why her face turns yellow, and since then I was like, why her face is too yellowish? And then when we brought her to doctor, then we realized that she's having a jaundice very high, and then that we actually need to feed her.
You have to imagine, babies are totally dependent on you. Hence we have to be in the know to when to feed them, nurse them, change them, and things like that. And the more attentive we are, dia ada that line yang I selalu cakap, be careful about not crossing the line. As being the parent is to give what the child needs, but don't overdo things, because sometimes then you will spoil them. Dia kata, how can you spoil a baby? They're too cute and cute. But you are, because you are feeding to the behavior of, I need this, I want that. For every baru dah angkat. For every ni dah angkat. So then they'll be like, oh, I know how to get your attention now. Kalau you are not being attentive enough and your child decided, I'm not going to talk to you, then you have to understand where does that come from. Kalau dia macam terlalu pergi kat you tak boleh, pergi kat baba boleh. So then you have to understand why. Who's feeding that behavior? I call it feeding the behavior. So disciplining a child is a very tricky punya ni.
And also when you talk about tantrums, right? Sometimes probably just in certain cases that I see some parents probably are too attached to the phones, and they don't really focus on their kids, and their kids realize that every time they throw tantrums, that's the only time that they got attention from the parents. So that's what you said about feeding the behavior, right?
That's what I
So
meant
they
by
would do literally at a shopping complex in front of people, just throwing tantrums, bergolek dekat atas lantai, just to get their parents' attention.
Yes. Find a time where you can just off the phone and just have that moment with your child. A teacher of mine, who's a child psychiatrist, actually said that each child, if ada 3 anak, 2 anak, each child we need a moment of one-to-one with you, about 15 minutes of your day. 15 minutes of your day. Tapi kalau dia ada 10 anak, I tak ada tanya. But I mean, in a way that they just need a fraction of your 24 hours. But it needs to have quality.
Interesting, because I remember that last time when I did host during Women's Day, right? One of the panels say that when you want to have a balanced life, for example, 8 hours of working and then having a balanced life with your kids, it doesn't really mean that 8 hours working and then another 8 hours with kids. Imagine talking to kids for 8 hours. That's, I think, for me, pretty crazy. But the terms of balance, it doesn't really referring to the hours that we're spending. So it's actually the quality time that we have with them. So let's say if we have 15 or 20 minutes with the kids, quality time with the kids, not playing phone, but actually talking to them, that is enough. That is balance.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
I baru nak cakap that I don't think there's such thing as work-life balance. I don't think so, because nowadays with gadgets and all that, your boss still calls you at night, kan?
Exactly.
So that's a bit tough. How you wish that, office understands that, I'm
At
giving,
night.
I'm pouring myself out for you for that 8 hours, just let me be. But it doesn't work that way. It's because of this, I would say, the internet punya issue lah, where it's so easy to call people and all that, but not really understanding each other lah.
And I also want to highlight about KPJ system. So this is actually the initiative that that we have vastly shared to KPJ and also to outside, that at KPJ Care we don't just focus on the clinical care, but also we are integrating with the practice with education and also research. In terms of education, I would say a career pathway as pediatrician. So do you have any advice to the interns or medical students who wants to pursue their career as a pediatrician?
Some might feel that pediatric patients a bit tough. Okay, the thing is, you have to understand you are dealing with from birth till about 18 years old. So definitely it'll be a variety of different types of patient. You need to have, you need to be interested. You need to be patient.
There's two patient there, PASSION and patient
sabar.
and sabar.
You need tahap kesabaran.
Tahap kesabaran. Okay.
You need to understand their development milestone. Their psychosocial punya development milestone. So people always talk about the physical, the motor punya development. We're talking about psychosocial punya ni. Understanding the psychosocial punya development that will make you understand how to approach them at different age group. It will be easier that way. Okay, you have to be someone who loves kids.
That's the first
thing. If you, even if, let's say, I were to select nurses in pediatric wards, I don't do interviews for them, kan? So the sister will ask, is there anything that you want me to ask them? And I would say, first and foremost, ask them, do they love kids? Although they are not your own, they are not related to you, but you need to love them, number one. Number two, do you foresee, for me, I think it's important to see them as our future. Then you would want to do justice for them. Then you would want to look out for their growth. You want to look out for their nutrition. You want to make sure their brain is functioning well, so they'll be the next leaders. That is also important. I tak pernah menyesal buat PIDS.
It's good that we have physicians that really suka what they're doing, because they will be more focused and would love to spend their time for the patients. Okay, Doctor, we are almost at the end of the podcast session, but I have one last question to you. Of course, earlier you did share a lot of tips for us, practical tips for the parents, right? So, just a closing and also take home message lah, basically. So, if you could give one piece of advice to parents for raising a healthier and happier children, what would it be?
One saja.
If you have more, then by all means.
One is, if you are planning to have a family, you have to start from now. Find out what type of family you're going to have. How would you want your child to grow up as? We're not talking about profession. We're talking as a human being. And then from there, because all of us want healthy children, we want our children to be educated, we want them to be successful in their life. So hence, we should be focusing on that. So you need to seek knowledge, and if you're not sure, you have to ask the right people with the same aim.
Anak-anak ini ibarat kain putih, kita lah yang mencorakkannya.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor, for your time today. We really hope that parents or even grandparents who are taking care of their grandchildren, we hope that this session has been really helpful to you, and with all the tips would be beneficial to all of us. And again, thank you so much, Doctor, for spending your time. And to all of you, thank you, and we'll see you in another episode. Bye.